you're good.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order for the second time. I had a personal issue. I do have 5 or 6 other gigs going on at one time besides being a councilman, so I apologize for the delay. We're kind of we've got the use of the town treasurer here, so you want to kind of mix the agenda up. You want to go right straight to this check policy number 4. So,
Can, yes, sir.
is there any other business that we will need the treasurer for?
I think she should participate in the meals tax
Okay,
conversation.
so let's start with either one. I'll leave that at your discretion.
Jennifer, I'm going to ask you, if you would, to talk a little bit about meals tax. Jennifer has been with Gwinnett assisting in the sending out notices, trying to do an audit of our meals tax and some of her findings and results. Not complete, and I still think that there are some folks that still need to submit some of the documentation. But Jennifer, if you want to come up to the podium, you can speak very quickly.
I'm not so sure you got brownie points for that one, but anyway. We don't bite. We're further away.
Per direction of the council, we sent the first letter out June 21st to all the meals tax payers. They were given 20 days to reply. We got a lot back, but on August 3rd, we sent a second notice certified to 8 taxpayers. Some addresses were mixed up, some envelopes got turned back, so we updated some of the addresses, and then I still have 4 outstanding that haven't replied, just with their current EIN number and their tax documentation. I'm currently still processing and compiling all what they've reported to the town against the state, and just kind of, that's a lengthy process, just kind of putting all that together. Once I get everybody's in and I get all my information, if there's any discrepancy, we're going to call either Philip and I or Gwinnett and I. We're going to call, just give them an opportunity to explain any variance found, and then once all that's done, then I'll finish my report and present it to Account and Finance.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in. So you've got 4 that haven't responded.
That's correct.
Would you be so kind as to make a personal visit to these people and tell them that you strongly suggest they respond?
Certainly can. Be happy to.
Or you can go certified letter or something, but,
These two.
Well, one of them is a chain.
okay,
So it may be a phone call, not a visit.
Okay.
Maybe talking to a manager who doesn't know what
Right.
the devil's going on.
okay.
But I think 3 of them are either local or people that we can reach by phone, certainly, or who are in the area pretty often. So I think 3 of them reasonably we can have a face-to-face, and one of them maybe got to talk to corporate or do whatever.
Well, I'd like it passed along that my patience is worn thin. Also, I would like, we've got the budget behind us now, and Jennifer's got a little free time. I know not much. I know who's doing the work around here. So, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe under the meals tax code, state of Virginia, that these accounts, these funds that are collected for meals tax are to be segregated in a separate deposit, in a separate account, and that they are to be paid at a certain time and their penalties. I believe that is the case.
I don't know about the separate account, I can confirm, but I know they're supposed to be held as an escrow, the equivalent of an escrow, held by the merchant to be paid to the town.
Well, I would ask you or your staff to provide that information. Okay? I would like, don't do it now. We're not in a hurry. Maybe we'll get back together again, or either we'll have a council discussion. But I don't think the gravity of what this is has got on the shoulders of the merchant. This is not their money. This money is like state sales tax. I don't want to fool those people. I'm a merchant. Everybody that's listening or anybody here knows I'm a merchant, and you don't play with that. But for some reason, and we all know what meals tax is, it's more than our property and our real estate combined.
Correct.
I don't think the merchants understand that it is a criminal offense. It's a class 2 misdemeanor, I believe. But I want you to get all that stuff together. I want you to read the code. And I'd like somebody on your staff to present a briefing to us so that we can present it to the council and we can educate the council.
I have to
And
be prepared.
okay? I think it's worth it because it is a serious issue. It's being taken too lightly. I know from personal visits to restaurants that I don't believe that we're getting accurate information. They're collecting the 6.5% and they're pocketing it.
Can this information be ready for the next council meeting?
On the 28th?
Yes.
I'll ask Tessie this afternoon.
Well, you can try. But
Well, I think what happens and happens too often is because we meet once a month and there are committee meetings in between, that anything we do is lucky if it gets acted on in 6 weeks, much less a month. And we lose so much time that our policies or direction loses emphasis. And I think we fooled around with this long enough.
I agree. I agree 100%. If you cannot get it done, I will ask the mayor to either continue or call a special council meeting, invite the merchants, have Tessie here to go over, and then they'll be warned. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to make a motion. We'd recommend to council that we have a work session or a special call meeting with Tessie here. Invite our merchants to come and understand the gravity of and the consequences. But as a councilman, I'm tired of it. It is loosely enforced on our part. It is taken for granted, and it's spelled out specifically. There are criminal penalties. So that how do you feel about that, Mr. McCary?
I think it's well spoken. I'm just a little disappointed we haven't done this before
Why
now.
don't we do this to speed things up? Why don't we just have Tessie contact you?
No, that's fine. I agree to that, and I think that's.
They're gonna blow me off. Some of them are just gonna blow me off. We're just extending
I
it
think
further.
I don't think you need the whole council's. I don't think you need council's permission to do that. I agree.
And you've given them how many days to respond to second notice?
On August 3rd, I gave them 10 business days.
And that's expired. And you're
Right.
still waiting on the same form? Let's have Tessie come. Just be
I-
in contact from the town.
Now, you're much more of a parliamentarian than I
They've
am.
all signed the certified receipt.
I don't think you. I think council is giving you permission to engage the attorney when you need to.
I think Tessie needs
I don't
to
think
contact
we're
you
overstepping our boundaries here. Do
I don't
you?
think,
Okay.
I don't think I'll get good response out of this.
Okay. All right, I would like to put it on the agenda for council to consider a work session or a call meeting and have Tessie here to have a workshop or a symposium or what I don't know the right word, but an opportunity for the merchants to be educated and to be warned, we're not playing with you anymore.
I
Okay.
think going ahead and telling Tessie, go ahead and contact these folks, remind them they haven't responded, and enforce them now. You gotta turn over the documents. Being requested, or legally requested.
Okay, so
That takes one step further out.
do you have anything to add to that?
No.
I would like in the council package, the code concerning meals tax. So they know, like the cemetery policy, give them plenty of time. If you feel that cemetery policy, I would email it to them when you get it finished, that we met on yesterday. Email that to them and get that in, but I would like everything that you think pertinent, because I don't think we all understand. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it requires a special
I
account.
may very well, I'm not an expert.
And I bet you have no compliance on that. So that way I'm thinking from years back. I think you are to make deposits every 5 business days into this segregated account and then pay you. You follow me? It's sloppy. It's being mixed in. It was kind of like what the town was run, was one big cookie jar. And the state code of Virginia is very specific how it's handled.
Well,
Okay.
the word escrow in itself explains it.
I believe it called for even
Separate
like the difference between will and shall that you've educated me. I think you shall have a separate account. So
We have not received responses from 4 merchants, and she's given them a second notice, and they have not responded to the second notice by the date that she had requested. So let's turn it over to Tessie.
All right.
And let her
and get
communicate.
that information to council, and I'm going to ask for a work session. Okay. All right. So the next thing that you think treasurer needs to be here is for the check policy.
I think we need to,
And I asked Brenda, Brenda said she ain't never seen one either.
Okay.
I think we would like to work on and ensure that we have a well-documented policy in regards to receiving checks and checks that are not good. Okay?
Okay.
And how many times and how often we're entitled, until we're entitled not to receive those checks.
And have we had such a problem in the past that it's come to this point?
I think that there's,
We got people that's
Yeah.
got to bring cash. We got one community food barn in the town.
Mhm.
They got to pay by cash because they wrote too many bad checks.
Now, what are they paying? What are they paying? Light bill or
Meals tax. Anything.
meals tax?
No, anything,
Anything.
anything.
Okay, no, no,
Any check,
okay,
any check,
okay.
Not just meals tax, but meals tax and utility bills, anything they pay. If we get 3 checks back, that's when we wrote them a lot and they came. And that's been well over a year, and he's asking now, can he start writing checks again? And I told him no. Because I don't see nothing in writing, on it, so.
This is very disturbing, and that's why I'm dead serious. I want this meals tax on the agenda because it's spelled out. You have people. You've did three bounce checks. Is that what you're saying on meals tax?
Anything across the board.
Okay.
we get
No.
3 checks.
No. Okay.
utility taxes, anything.
Utility taxes, meals tax, anything.
So
Once they get 3.
you're saying that we've had a practice, but we don't have a policy in writing.
Well, we gotta make sure that if we don't have something in writing, that we get something in writing accurate, that documents clearly what the wishes of council are on it.
Do you want to work on that now, or you want us to convene at another time?
Another time, we're gonna
Okay.
bring you information and, make sure it's compliant with the Code of Virginia. And it may suit, it may not suit, it may be modified like a cemetery policy. Everybody has a piece that they can involve themselves in, we'll get taken care of. But I do think we need, some clarity on accepting checks continuously from businesses, individuals, anybody who consistently gives bad checks. We get some bad checks every month. Okay, we just need to have, clarity. Okay?
Well,
Bring
we
that
certainly
together.
need some clarity on that, but when you start talking about the meals tax, now, you're talking about,
That should never be, that could,
that's
if
impossible.
they have accrued the funds.
That's not
It's
possible.
impossible not to have it.
It's impossible not to have the funds.
I agree with you 100%, but the lady or the gentleman running that establishment or the restaurant, they use it. They use it. They don't
Well,
have it,
well,
and
what-
they should have
to
it. They
keep-
should have it.
To
That's
keep
the
from
reason-
having the name
That's the reason,
of business.
that's what accrued means.
Right,
I know.
okay. I hope and pray this is not one of the ones that haven't complied.
Pardon?
I pray this is not one of the 4 that you mentioned that you're gonna have to test it. Oh my gosh, okay. You got some work to do. I think the committee is abundantly clear to you that we're ready
Get it
to
all together.
to the strictest limit of the statute, okay? All right, we also, anything else for the treasurer? She's very busy today.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Do you have anything for the committee?
As I called them this morning, I've given her information.
We do have and what she wanted me to maybe let you also know, we do have one business that is, becoming arrears on meals tax. Becoming arrears. We reported it last month, and it has not improved, and so we have turned that over to Tessa for report. Okay.
They had Monday to 4 o'clock to pay it.
Are they on the list?
Well, they will be this time.
Okay,
Not hard to figure out
Okay.
which one.
okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing more frustrating.
What we're supposed to do, we send a letter, then we send another letter, and then we're getting.
I offended Madam President yesterday when I said something about the parking signs downtown. I don't care what you do, but what bugs me is that you've got signs up and they're not enforced. You can take the signs down if council wants to vote to take the signs down. But it's frustrating as a legislator to go through the do your due diligence and pass an ordinance, and then it's not adhered to. But the Commonwealth passed this ordinance on meals tax, so I expect y'all to expedite prosecution. Okay,
We carry out exactly how the lines are.
it's just
carried.
not fair that you got it's difficult enough in the restaurant business, And then, so basically, you're giving your competitor an unfair advantage.
No, sir.
You
That's
know-
not correct. That's incorrect. The facts are, we have somebody who has failed to pay it twice.
Right.
We are instructed to collect that money. I can't go put a gun to their head and I can't
Right.
force them to pay it. But after 2 delinquent months, we've already turned it over to Tessie and she's gonna handle the
Right.
collection.
This is one delinquent month. This month here is not due until the 20th. July is not due until August.
Well, let me,
This
Second
is
month it will be
one
due
month.
August
We are doing
Mr.
what we're
Chairman.
supposed to be doing.
would it be out of order for us to set a policy where if you do not get compliance on a repeated basis, that the town, withdraw their permit, their operating permit?
I don't know if you can or not. I don't know if legally you can.
Actually, and I can write the lawyer of the Treasurers Association, but actually, the treasurer will then lock the door. close
Okay.
the door.
Well, that's what steel tax people do. They come to padlock
Exactly,
you.
exactly. So that's what we're giving you time, all y'all to get your brilliant minds together. And, yeah, I'm the big bad wolf, but I'm gonna be the big bad wolf on meals tax. So I'm giving you time,
How about utility bills? Maybe you can give us some clarity on that as well.
okay?
Well,
You wanna talk about something ugly?
there's a whole, you don't want to take the reasoning,
We didn't bring the issues to you to have a fight or have a problem.
That's right.
We want you to be clear of what's going on, okay? We give out a dozen exceptions in utility bill collection. People come in and grandma, or I've got this reason or that reason. We had one today, I let her pay half of it because she needed 1 day to pay the rest of it, okay? And her employer, whom I called, brought the other half of it down here.
well, I understand that, and I think
do that
it's,
all the time.
I think that's great. But if the same person comes back to you 3 times running, you're not gonna do it.
I think we've done it twice. We had one call this morning for a
I've
third.
got a list over there that I said I would not give any more extensions. And
But
they said, I want to talk to town
We don't want,
manager.
we're not here to start a fight.
I don't
We
wanna
know
start
how
a
to
fight,
do
I don't
it.
wanna I don't wanna be rude and interrupt you, but we're talking about two different things. We're talking about a merchant has collected tax from a patron, okay? And these monies are required by Virginia law to be segregated, separated, and deposited in a separate account. And then there is specifics on how the town is to be paid, opposed to the charity that I have no problem as a council member, under your discretion, in utilities. I have no problem with that.
Everything
You
we've
know?
done so far with the meals tax is exactly as we've been instructed.
Right.
An attorney would be disbarred for doing what these people are doing.
Yeah, I think that there's some issues there. The one individual who's will be 2 months in arrears.
I can name one.
They need to pay the June that was due in July, and they have not paid the July that is due August 20th, which is Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Okay? We turned it over to Tessie yesterday?
Today.
Today,
Yeah.
okay? So Tessie is now working on what is technically a 1 month delinquency,
Okay.
okay? So,
But I don't think that merchants and the council, including the mayor, all understand the gravity and how it's spelled out and that's why I want the opportunity. But enforce what council has made a motion on, or we've ordained. If we have passed an ordinance, enforce it.
we are,
Okay?
Exactly what it
Okay.
says to do.
Right. So far as utility bills go, I personally, if you want to talk to the entire council, that's fine. But me personally,
I don't wanna talk to the full council.
well,
I try to help folks out.
you do,
And we
you
try
do.
to make it work,
You
but
do.
that's not Perk Town code.
I understand
Perk Town
that.
code says,
Well,
cut off that. And
Then
we-
you think, I don't think the two of us
I guess.
are able to do, I think you need to ask, if you have gray areas, then ask the council, okay? But when you're talking about meals tax, it's not their money to begin with.
There is no gray area.
There is no gray area. This money that's not their money to buy hot dogs with.
And we're not asking you to waive anything. We've got
Really?
it, and Tessie's got it
I mean,
given to her. Okay?
okay. Anything else?
Nope. Unless you would like to talk about Bonsicore lease.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, do we need Madam Treasurer for anything else? Thank you so much. I know you're busy, and I greatly appreciate you putting up with me.
Oh, that's all right.
The Bon Secours lease got on here on both committees, and maybe it should have been. And if you'd like, you can brief Councilman Cure, but I think it's irrelevant. He was in that chair.
Okay, moving on.
So I think we're just
We're just waiting for
y'all
a
are
response
working
from
on
Bob,
it.
of course, to,
Do
from
you,
some
would
communication.
you like to add anything to
No,
the discussion from
I'm
yesterday?
thoroughly appraised of it,
Okay, all
having
right,
talked with
all right.
Philip separately too.
I had Armory financing on here, and yesterday I had the disposition. Yesterday, for those who are watching, we had in these chambers at 4 o'clock a building property and cemetery meeting, and it was on the agenda to speak of the Armory. Mayor it called me and said that the Armory representatives couldn't make it, and it asked me to table it until they could be present. I denied his request, and then I got to thinking about it, and I said it was the right thing to do. And then after good counsel from the manager, I remember on the way home, I was in the bed with the flu, and I think we had about 5 or 6 items out of this committee. I asked him to hold them, and he did.
If it had been in the police department, I would say that would be the same as getting the blue flu.
Right. So turnaround is fair play for Mayor Coleman. So he's asked for us to wait until Walter Mack Osborne or his designate could be here, and so I'm gonna table that.
Good deal.
Okay? And anything about the lease? Now, anything, you have anything? I have a couple more items.
Bring to your attention, charts that Jennifer put together about collections, one year to the next, and this is month over month and year previous, so if you have any questions about that, we can get to. But it's trending in a positive.
Okay, all right. Do you have anything else?
No, the only thing I can add to this is I will fight desperately any delays from any source to keep us from implementing this as soon as possible. We have put it off now for meal tax and the collection thereof. It's time to get mean if we have to. Don't be unreasonable, but don't excuse anybody.
We will turn these 4 over to Tessie today and ask her to begin the demands. They've not responded to our 2 letters, so we'll ask Tessie to intervene, because I don't think I'll have a better response, face-to-face or otherwise, on these.
All right, I'm gonna ask you as chair of the finance committee to take a project on.
Okay, what?
Take a project on, okay? We're finished with the budget. From time to time, you'll need to get us together on this, that, and the other. But I think what we need to do, we have a lot of hearsay on my part. We have bits and pieces of what we're staring at down the road. I know we're busy. You and I had a dream of having a apparatus plan and police car plan and all this. But I do know one thing that I would love for the council and for the public to know is what we are staring at in the face, without a doubt.
Construction work.
I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about air packs. I'm talking about maintenance on the fire station. I'm talking about a new engine. I'm talking about the water lines at Fort Pickett. I'm talking about a lot of things, okay? So I think we really need, I asked for this when Colonel Dunn was the assistant town manager here. I asked him, and it was a laborious project, but I asked him to make a list of town properties, because I don't think anybody here knew all our properties. I don't think anybody here knows in a 10-year period what our liabilities are. And I don't, I'm sorry.
I will point out to you, one of the things that we have to improve on is, and I don't know if the town had previously done a capital improvement plan, but we do have a capital improvement plan, okay? I bring it to council every year, it kind of is a basis for what we put in the budget, or what we try to put, or at least do some planning. Do pay attention to that, but what I've not been putting in there, and VDOT has now requires us to do, is construction projects as well. So if you look at that capital plan, it's usually fire truck heavy and garbage truck heavy and that kind of thing. That gives you a good basis there. But I've got to start putting in, based on VDOT's requirements, for us to apply for these revenue share projects. They've got to have them in there. More of the construction, road construction, more of the water and sewer construction, all that. So our capital improvement plan is going to look radically different this year than it has in the past, because it was focused on new pickup trucks and
Mr. Manager, I agree with Chairman Green. I think this is important enough progress thing to ask for, and I've asked for it before. to have it right there in that frame and not the gold. I think it's enough that we ought to have it in
Eventually.
front of us all the time.
Well, what I'm driving at, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I think you crafted a wonderful financing plan. We presented it to the council ad nauseum, as the mayor would say. I have said we voted on it 7-0. I didn't see nary a head that wasn't shaking yes. Okay, so what we didn't do is we didn't establish a timeline. We didn't say when we were going to do it. So what I'd like to do in our off season, if you will, this is our off season. Now so before we have to go to spring training in March on our last budget, let's take that time and work out a plan, and we're going to have to make it a line item budget, a line item thing. In other words, if you feel like we're $3 million short, and you think in 12 years we should be funded, and you got to put $4,000 a month away to do it. I don't know. I'm talking crazy numbers. I'm trying to give you an example of what I'd like to accomplish. I'd like for us to not set it up here. This was a waste of time and money because we haven't referred to it. It's just stuck up there. I would actually like to take some action. I would like to have a plan to implement what the council's directed you to do. So, but we need to know what are our obstacles? What are our headwinds? Maybe we need to work on putting this air pack money away really hard in the 2020 budget, and in the 2021 budget, we could use the same funds that we stuck away and work on the reserves. But we're just sitting up here, and I don't think I'm not saying that we're derelict in our responsibilities, but we've kind of punted this down the road, and we need to take it on squarely.
I think you adopted a budget. I think you just adopted a budget that put almost $500,000 in reserves.
Well, I understand that,
Put a lot away.
but I
But
think
nowhere in that budget does it show our accrued unfunded liabilities. For instance, workman's comp, comp time and overtime that's accrued here, vacation and all that, is a hell of a figure.
Several $100,000.
And nowhere in our statement, in our balance sheet or operating statement does this show up.
I'm lockstep with him. So what I'm saying is though, yes, you've got $1 million sitting over here that's undesignated, and that's good.
But
and
it's
you,
not-
and you know what? You're a
it'll
magician.
disappear.
The things that you've done,
Well,
very few people could have done. Okay, I'll be honest with you. But if you really look at it, the unfunded liabilities could gobble that up in a New York minute. It's not likely, but Larry, but your predecessor sat right there and begged us to consider alternating terms. Okay, like three, mayor run every 2 years, and 3 of us run every 2 years, and 4 of us run every. He said because you could get a big, and we were like, that's not going to happen. You had 5 seats vacated in one election, and I don't know that you're not going to have 5 seats vacated in this election. Okay, so my point is, you're doing a wonderful job. But we need to spell it out, and let's have a plan, and let's set a deadline. And I don't mind saying, there's a great possibility that you're going to have $15,000, $18,000 a month coming in from Bon Secours. Okay, I'd like to be able, instead of just sound like a blowhard that we got too much in front of us that we don't need to go do this. I'd like to be able to say, this is what you're looking at. I think that's our fiduciary duty. Okay.
work on this
Okay.
next 2 weeks.
Don't pressure yourself.
No,
Let it be an off-season project. Okay. And I would just love to be able to say, and for 2 reasons. I'd like the council to feel like they're part of the budget and they're part of the financial deal. I sat in this very chair 8 years ago, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. Okay. I don't ever want a council member to feel that way. Ever, as long as I serve. I want them to be. I want it to be easy
But
information.
Mr. Chairman, I feel that some of our council really don't comprehend this.
Well,
And
So-
because it hasn't been presented to them and put in front of them on a consistent basis.
And that's what I want. I don't want a council member to say, there's Green, blah, 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 blah. I don't want that. I don't want them to be caught. I don't want them to be caught with their britches down when you come up here to the podium and say, I need $480,000 for air packs. I sat in this chair when Mr. Palmore begged council to do something about Brunswick Avenue. Okay? The Brunswick Avenue sewer. He begged us. He said, the next thing you know, you're going to have a judge tell you you're going to do it. And you know what? If council would have raised the rates 5% back then, started banking the money, and gone through the project, we wouldn't have had to raise the rates 25%. So that's what I want to be able to do. I don't like raising taxes. Okay? What I do like to do is I like to have reserves in case we have an emergency. And this free money is going to stop. I mean, you're not going to be able to go and buy a car loan for 3.99%. You're not going to buy a garbage truck for 1.9%. You're going to pay 7%. And for us not to collect a penny or two here or there and put it away so we don't have to borrow money to buy a garbage truck, that's ludicrous. Because I know we're all spoiled rotten with cheap money, but the retired people have put up with this until they're going to revolt.
Because
So
they're starving to death.
they're starving to death, and I mean, it's the latest forecast I hear from the Federal Reserve is 150 basis points next year. 150 next year, 100 this year. That's 2.5% in the next 2 years. So I see it going up. I also see the economy's in a better place than I've seen it. Look at our revenue streams, okay? I mean, there's not a locality in these United States that wouldn't die to have this revenue stream. And why in the world we got mountains of debt and we've got these things that are glaring us in the face, and sticking our head in the sand is not the way to do it.
And it hasn't been for bad management on the service level. It's been for bad financial management. And that we have not disciplined ourselves, and this council being the body, to make ourselves prepare for this. I guess I'm old enough and have been through enough to see that you don't have anything unless you plan for it. And I tell my son now, my youngest, how easy it would be for him to put 5% of his money aside right now and what it would mean to him at age 50. And he looks at me like, yeah, you're right, Dad, but that's way down the road. Well, it'll come faster than you think. And our reserves, as hard as you have worked to get them in there, can disappear in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Everybody in the community knows that I'm a salesman, okay? And I don't want this council to feel that I'm selling them to raise taxes. I don't want to raise taxes. I don't. I lost sleep over it thinking that we were going to have to put 2 pennies on the tax because that's 9%, and there are people in this town can't afford 9%. I lost a lot of sleep over that. I was so thrilled that we could come to council and say we don't need that 2%. I mean those 2 pennies. I mean, and people can paint me whatever they want to, but we've got golden opportunities here to build reserves so we can keep from raising taxes. I mean, I'd rather raise the rates 2% today instead of having you standing up there, need to borrow another $1 million. Okay, raise the rates 9%. And next thing you know, you're like our sister communities that have $75 minimum water bills. Okay? But I think my lectures to council are now rhetoric. And I understand that. You know, I've been crying the same tune. And you know what? You're Harry Potter. You've been waving the magic wand, and I know your wand's been snapped in half. So we need to get it, honestly. You did some magical things. And I've still, you had some people give you some big breaks, and you made some
And you
very
called in some favors when you needed.
Right. So
I think what I need to do is, and I think I may have told Celeste and maybe even Jennifer a little bit of this. One of the things I want the department heads to know are the plans in case something happens to me. When I get sick, something happens. I want you guys to know what the next construction project is. I think we can go for several years, but ultimately there is a plan, but sadly it's still banging around in here, and it needs to be on paper. I know what the next phase of construction is. I know what the next phase of water and sewer is. I know what the next phase of all these things are, but maybe I either haven't shared or codified them.
Right.
And I've talked to the department heads. I said, boy, if I fall dead tomorrow with encephalitis, and believe it or not, I think about such things now, that somebody needs to know what the next step is. Jennifer with the money, Yvonne with the community development side of things, and I need to put it on paper, and that's no problem. I'll do so. How are we going to pay for the air packs? We've already started working on the air packs.
Right.
Okay? We borrowed from ourselves to buy a bucket truck this year. That was air pack money.
Right.
That was money we had set aside for air packs for the first year. So we're going to pay back this year as quickly as we can the air pack money, and that'll be the first third of the air packs. The air packs are due in 2020. We'll do the same thing for 3 years, and we got the air packs paid for. Okay?
Well, I appreciate that you.
But I gotta put it on paper.
I appreciate that you see the need for that, you know, and, but
Well,
I've got, hold on,
I'd
I'm
like to see it
almost
on
done.
red and right.
I do too. Where I am is the four that don't participate in the finance committee meeting. This sounds kind of like Charlie Brown. Walk, 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 walk. And you know what? If I was one of those four, it would to me too, because I was one of those four for 4 years, from 2006 to 2010. Okay, been there, done that. So I wanted to get it. I don't want them blindsided. I don't want to overwhelm them, but I want to know. I want everybody to understand where we are and where we're going and how we're going to get there.
I think you will see our capital improvement plan, and please do pay attention to that, Doc, because we really haven't been, we took it to planning commission the first couple of years, and we use it in the budget, but it's kind of glossed through. Well, we know we need a couple police cars. We know you need these kinds of things, but it's going to be different this year. It's going to have construction side. I know you want to know how much we're spending on curb and gutter and sidewalk and all those kinds of things, and it's been paid for out of either secondary or primary VDOT money, okay, the maintenance money. But VDOT is now requiring, if we're going to put in applications to repair or replace or improve streets in the town and using their revenue share money or their other sources of funds, they want it in your capital plan. So I've got to do a better job with the capital improvement plan, not just garbage truck, dump truck, those kinds of things. So we're going to have to upgrade that a little bit, make it look a little bit better, and talk about construction projects such as Brunswick Avenue curb and gutter and sidewalk, or those kinds of things that you've been asking to see. VDOT is now mandating, maybe not on a small side like that, but if we have a long-term project that we want to work on, like Amelia Avenue or some of these other things, if we're going to use their funds, they want us to put it in the
Well,
capital plan.
the High Street sidewalk is,
High Street sidewalk,
that's
yeah.
really bad.
And there's really 2 blocks of that need to be replaced in front of the Brentwood Apartments need to go too.
Right.
But we need to do a little more polished job, and we're being prompted to do it because VDOT has said, if you want to apply for our money, we need to see it in your capital plan.
Well, it's kind of like, my passion for my basketball coaching, okay? The first thing I do is I spell it out. This is what we're going to try to get done. I mean, these are my goals. I meet with the parents. This is what we're doing, and these are the priorities. And you know what? We get ownership, and we talk about it, and we all leave, and we all know where we're going together. That's what I'm saying. And you're sitting up here on council, and I'm talking all this gobbledygook. I mean, I don't know if I'd believe me or not. You put it down here on paper, and it doesn't sound like womp womp womp. There's green again. Womp 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 womp.
It'll be the basis, the same foundations on the reserves that we've hit, but the goals will change. If you remember, there were 2 pages, the financing plan, where the required amounts that we've decided we want to put aside, and were modified. If you remember that Davenport said, I put more money in that water and sewer fund, okay? Take that as the basis still, and then look at the goals. So we've met all the financial goals that we had, setting aside the tap fees, setting aside the additional $40,000 saved as a result of the refinancing that did, went down that list, we did it. I need to give you a new set of bullet points.
Yes, and then give us a suggestion on financing, paying ourselves first.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Mm-hmm. I don't mind telling you, the biggest priority I have is Kinston Forest, and it's a lick. But you know what I'm saying? I pay that first.
Do it first.
So we need to do the same thing. We need to pay us first. We need to set a date and give ourselves a deadline and say, okay, 2024, this is gonna be funded.
We'll do a 5-year plan.
It's fine.
And I just finished reading a book about Khrushchev and Kennedy in the 60s, and every 5 years, the communists had another 5-year plan. We'll do a 5-year plan.
Okay.
And these are the goals and objectives of the next 5
like
years.
it. I like
Financial goals and objectives, not more nebulous and those kinds of, but a financial program. And I'll tell you when my expectation is, we'll have those reserve funds. If we follow approximately the same chart as we're doing now, I'll give you an idea when you'll have your accounts funded.
Okay,
All right?
and I think that's doing our due diligence, in my opinion. Do you have anything else for the committee? We're adjourned. Give that to